What is your embarrassing story of oops wrong room? Had an internship as a nurse. My job in the morning was going around and measuring blood pressure and pulse of basically all the patients on the station. One day I walked into a room and cheerfully said good morning. A group of crying relatives looked at me. The patient died overnight and no one told me. Did you end up checking their pulse? Oh my god, there's a pulse. What? Oh my god. Mom, she's alive. Nah, I'm just kidding. We like to have fun here. Walking into my boss's office and seeing his wife sucking him off. Damn sir, hitting it off with the old Miss Us I see. What you saw in them bodge is a secret to a long-lasting marriage. I'm a maintenance tech for a large rental company. Once a month we change air filters for residents and check for other maintenance issues. Not long ago, I was completing this monthly task for one of our complexes. I always knock twice and ring the doorbell, if applicable, and announce myself as maintenance and the task that I mean to complete. I do my spiel at one of the doors and no answer. The resident's car is gone, so he must not be here. I unlock the door and knock one last time, and announce myself as throw open the door. They're on the couch, headphones on, laptop rolling, and naked as a jaybird, was the resident's girlfriend, I'm guessing, going to town on herself. I've never seen this person in my life. What a meet and greet. I'm startled and she must have seen the light from outside when the door opened, because she spun her head toward me fast enough to break her neck. Looking at each other with total embarrassment, I slowly backed out of the door, closed and locked it back again. I didn't go back to change the filter that day. I figured we would give that experience a day or so to pass over. Embarrassing, very. What filter am I supposed to be changing monthly? The HVAC filter for your air and heating system. I was in the choir for a funeral of a 6-year-old girl. I was around 12 at the time and went to the same school she attended. We were told beforehand that rehearsal would be in the church's cry room. That was wrong, because the cry room was actually the open casket. It was a pretty small room, so by the time I realized what was happening I was already halfway inside. I tried to play it off in front of obviously grieving close family by walking up to the casket and paying my respects the best I could. Good for you, at least that was a very smart way to deal with an honest make. Once I had to crap so bad that I just ran into a toilet and started relieving myself. After I'm done and stepped out to the cubicle, I saw a lady at the basin. She calmly said to me, "You must be in the wrong toilet." I exchanged for a year to Japan, where literally all men's toilets have a blue man and are at the right side, while most women's toilets are signified by a pink woman on the left. On the airport, when I came home, I had a long crap. When I got out, there was a queue of at least 10 women who looked at me like I was a perverted scum. Dying inside, I kept a straight face as I exited the women's bathroom. The reason for my blunder was that the air holes at the airport had put the women's toilet at the right side with a blue woman on the door. That's hilarious. Japan is all about propriety, so I can only imagine the looks on their faces. Haha. Jumped into the wrong car and the driver thought I was hijacking him. A few weeks back I did this on the driver's side. Approached my car in the parking lot, pressed the unlock button in my pocket. I didn't look to see if the lights flashed. Opened the driver door to hop in and there is a dude sitting in the driver's seat browsing his phone. Turns out, same model car pulled up and parked one car space in front of mine a while after I arrived. My husband and I both did this to our daughter's new van. We couldn't figure out why it wouldn't unlock. Then looked in the back seat and it didn't have the car seats. Tried to find a bathroom at a house party when I was about 15. Walked in on the host's older sister and her boyfriend doing it. Have never seen so much panic and anger in someone's face. She came downstairs pretty soon after and had a very heated conversation with her brother in the kitchen. Once she left he told everyone and had a good laugh about it. Typical little brother, and I felt really bad in case they could hear. But, as I found out from my friend, the room does have a lock on the inside. At the end of the day they were kind of asking for it with around 30 teenagers partying in a house with one bathroom that was right next to her room. How did she not expect someone to walk in during a party with plus 30 people and leave the door unlocked? Why would she? even do it during a party. I'm guessing older sister was probably a teenager herself. Teenagers do dumb things when they are horny. Being a supportive family member who has a couple of gay family members, I ended up going to Pride with them. I got lost from them, and I saw a room labeled the dungeon. I thought to myself, hey, that sounds pretty neat. As soon as I walked in the door, it was room full of TV screens with BDSM Gay 30 playing in the screen. I instantly did a 180 and walked right out the door like Grandpa Simpson. I feel like dungeon was pretty obvious, unless it was followed up by and dragons. Not if they mean bad dragons. I was on a safari with my family. For a game drive, you wake up super duper early to go and see the animals. Had to get something from another tent, then returned to mine. Wasn't wearing my contacts yet, and upon returning to my tent, I opened the zipper. I was standing in the doorway and suddenly something moved in my bed. I high-pitched screamed, which was answered by an evenly loud scream of some guy who was equally shocked. Someone was screaming in the doorway of his tent at 5:30 am. Yeah, turns out my tent was the next one. Felt sorry for waking him, and very embarrassed. I had been on safari and yep, all those tents look alike and there is no padlock, only zipper, so I can understand your situation. We had padlocks on our tents when I went, not for privacy or thieves, but because the baboons were smart enough to open the zippers and would frick up your tent if you left it unlocked. Went grocery shopping 2 days after moving into my new apartment. Came back, wondered why the door was unlocked, and let myself in to see the layout slightly different. My downstairs neighbor then poked her head out from the living room and just looked at me. I noped out of there and hastily went up to my own floor. Great introduction though. This is why people need to get the habit of locking their damn doors. We always keep ours locked. Always. I'm glad too. Our new neighbors on the one side of us have a habit of sending people to our house. Maybe they are giving the wrong address. 3 times now, since they've moved in, someone has tried to walk in our front door. We have them on video. They walk right up, go to open the door, realized it's locked, look confused, and then ring the bell, and wait for a minute before wandering off. One time it was the neighbor guy himself. I don't understand, because our houses don't even look alike. Their driveway slopes more, and is on the left side of their walkway to the front door. Ours is on the right side of our walkway. They have a large front patio. We just have a small alcove as a front porch. When I was 11, a girl, was insanely curious about what boys' bathrooms looked like inside. So one day we were at a McDonald's, and I opened the door to the boys' toilets instead of the girls', where I started right into the face of a cleaner. For some reason I can't even begin to fathom, I put on my best fake accent, and just said, wow, things sure are different in Canada. I turned around, and went back to my seat, face burning. I'm Australian. In Australia. I'm dying. Why would you do any of that? I get being curious about what the other gender's bathrooms look like, especially for a kid. The rest, well, kids are dumb. Was running slightly late to class when at university, so was doing that weird jog walk to get to class. Not stopping, I quickly opened the door to see a full projection screen size image of a woman's back with a baby crowning. Complete the painful nails on chalkboard sounds of labor. The lecturer just casually asked, "Can I help you?" As if this was totally normal and completely wide-eyed, I just stammered and asked where the marine vertebrates seminar had moved to. Turns out my marine biology class had switched rooms, so the midwifery students could use this classroom with projector to watch their childbirth documentary, but because I was running late I didn't get the memo. OMG, I can imagine you thinking this is not what I signed up for. Well, they did sign up for marine biology though, so it's sorta relevant. I introduced a couple of friends to each other, and they hooked up. Overnight, the girl walked in the bathroom, confidently and completely naked. Except it was not the bathroom. It was a bedroom, where the guy's father was asleep, and woke up, because of how noisy she was, when she entered the room. Both told me the story embarrassed to death. The father was just crashing there, before leaving to the airport. I bet the father likes to tell that story. A guy, was at a fancy modern cafe, and I had to use the bathroom. The signs for the men's and women's room looked weird, and I couldn't tell which was the men's room. I eventually found out when I had finished, washed my hands, and opened the door to find a woman waiting. This happened to me at a truck stop. While I was using the toilet, I noticed this weird metal box attached to the stall wall I'd never seen in a public restroom before. It really sunk in what I'd done when a woman and her daughter came in to use the restroom. I waited until it was empty and scurried out there. It's courtesy these days to have those trash cans in all bathrooms. And a lot of hip restaurants do the weird symbol thing because health code sometimes requires them to segregate, but it really doesn't matter. Walking into an apartment room looking for a friend who gave me the wrong directions and sees a 15-year-old jerking off to pictures of Marilyn Monroe. Was this in the 1950s? Do kids not jack it to Monroe anymore? SMH, this generation really is hopeless. Not wrong room, but last week I walked into my grandfather chainsawing a moose head in our garage. Wasn't really enjoyable for either of us. Unless chainsawing a moose head is an extremely masculine euphemism for jerking off, I don't see why it would be so embarrassing. I refuse to use any other euphemism from now on. It's more like me getting trapped in the wrong room. I lost my wallet on campus the night before. Girl calls and says she has it and that I can pick it up before her evening course. I grabbed a drink with my friends, said I'll be right back, and went to the classroom. Girl isn't waiting outside, so I duck in to see if I can find her. The other students think I'm looking for a seat and wave me to an empty spot. It's a giant lecture hall, like 300 people, in human anatomy. I'm effectively trapped for the 90-minute block when the teacher starts lecturing. A larger problem here is that my phone was also broken. I had no way of telling my friends that I'm trapped in a human anatomy class. I didn't have a notebook or a pen. I'm just staring into space, either looking like a slacker or a genius. That part was mortifying to me because if I had a notebook, I would at least have not looked so uncomfortable. The teacher passed around a fake skeleton arm, and because I'm trapped and don't give a frick, when I passed it to the student a row down, I tapped him on the shoulder with it. I got my wallet back and had a fun story for my friends back at the bar. And of course they were waiting because I still had to buy my round. Did you learn anything from the lecture? I was a kid and we were at someone's house for dinner. I accidentally opened the wrong door when looking for the bathroom. It was a pitch dark room that smelled really weird, like hot glue, and an obviously very old lady shrieked incomprehensibly at me. I hadn't even known there was an old woman in the house. The old lady was embarrassed, so it can stay. Accidentally walked straight into the girls' changing room. Accidentally, didn't look at the signs. More wrong building than wrong room, but whatever. Years ago my boyfriend and I drove 2 hours away to attend his mother's 50th birthday party. His parents live in a tiny town with other tiny towns nearby. He assumed the party was being held at this sort of rec center / all-purpose building in tiny town X, so we park and jog up to the door since it's raining. We go in talking and laughing, expecting to join the party, only to find that there is a weirdly somber senior citizen bingo game happening in the main room that this door led into. Turns out his mom's party was actually in tiny town Y, not tiny town X. Not a single person even seemed to notice two young people bursting in on their bingo session, so it wasn't too embarrassing, but still. That day I learned to really question my boyfriend to make sure he's not just assuming he knows where something is. Walking confidently into the wrong toilets multiple times because the symbols were super confusing. Went to an Italian restaurant that had a picture of pen on one door and a picture of spaghetti, singular, on the other. Spent a minute looking at the doors trying to figure out which was which, when a waiter stopped by asking if I needed help. I asked which was the women's toilets, and she said those stupid doors. We are trying to get them changed. So pen was women's, because it has a hole. We ladies only have a single hole apparently, and the men's was the spaghetti, because had a limp peen. The owner apparently found them hilarious. Okay, those symbols are even more confusing than ours. It was either a triangle pointing up or a triangle down. For some reason I always forget which one was which. It's not that interesting, but this came to mind. I was working in the airport for a while. The setup for the toilets always seemed to be men on the right, women on the left. So I'm rushing in as I have to be somewhere and see a woman washing her hands. I stop for a second and say, "Miss, you're in the wrong toilet." Then I look on the right and there's another woman. Then another comes out of from the stall and they were all looking at me. Then it clicked that I shouldn't be there. You're all wrong. You're all wrong. When I was 13, I went to sing the national anthem with my school choir for a local hockey match. Before the match we were stationed in one of 3 dressing rooms. I was well familiar with the venue, and I was confident that if I went to the loo before the match I'd be able to find my way back to the correct room. No dramas. When I came back from the loo I opened the door expecting to see my chwarmates. Instead I got a shocking but glorious complete eyeful of an entire team of muscular, sweaty, post-adolescent hockey players, most of them completely naked. I was equal parts terrified to get in deep crap and also feeling as if I'd won the girl lottery. I'm imagining Tina from Bob's Burgers, butts, and more. What a night for 13-year-old me. Walked into the men's restroom at Walmart and saw a dude using the urinal. Had to process that you must be a woman. You would be correct.